In this video, I'll show you how to use the program to back up a Synology folder to a Ugreen NAS. The configuration is similar for other sources or destinations. So it doesn't matter whether you're backing up from a Mac to a NAS or from a Windows system to a NAS. Let's start by preparing the source. This is the Synology that we want to back up to the Ugreen. First, let's create a folder that we want to back up. You probably already have one, but I'll do it for testing purposes. That's it. Now we need to assign read and write permissions. This is because the Docker container that we will install on this NAS later must have read and write permissions for this folder. Assign the appropriate permissions to the user who should have access to this folder. Now we do the same on the Ugreen NAS that we want to back up to. Create a shared folder and give a user the necessary permissions. We'll call it Synology Backup here. If you like, you can also set up NFS rules for this folder so that you can use NFS with a BmuS Scotty. NFS is faster than SMB. Ensure that you also grant read and write permissions here and map all users to the administration. The folder has been created. Now, go to the BmuS Scotty website and download the zip file for the Docker installation. Extract the file and move all the contents over to the Synology NAS. Specifically into the folder we created there. We won't just use this to create the Docker container. These are also the files we'll later back up to the Ugreen NAS. Now, let's switch back to the Synology NAS. We need to find the correct path to the folder we just created. On Synology, shared folders are usually located on Volume 1. We need to provide this path to the Docker Compose file now. The Docker container, and the backup program inside it, needs to be able to access it, so we are mapping the folder into the container. Open the file with any text editor and change the line exactly as I'm showing you here. Here, we are mapping volume 1/BmuS test to host root in the container. Also, adjust the time zone to your own so that automatic backups will run according to your local time later on. Now, let's build the Docker container. Go to the Synology console and enter what I am typing. The command I am using is an older one. Newer Docker installations use this command without the hyphen between Docker and Compose. Test which one works for you. The download is running now. I'll speed this part up a bit. Let's check if the image has been downloaded. Go into the Docker Container Manager on the Synology and take a look. Great. Here it is. Now open the folder on the Synology NAS again and go into the subdirectory named config. Open the BmuS config file. This is the file where you control all the settings of the program. Comment out the path and delete everything up to host root. That is our mapped root folder. So that is sufficient. Now scroll down and assign the IP addresses. Of course, we also have to enter the shared folders. Do you remember? We named the folder on the Ugreen NAS Synology Backups. We will enter that into the config file now. And while we are at it, let's do that for the NFS share too. Here we also need to specify the path to the volume. We are done with this file for now. What is still missing are the credentials for the Ugreen NAS. Open the credentials file and enter the credentials of the backup target, meaning username and password. Scroll down and delete the port for WebDAV. We don't need that for now. Also ignore the database credentials for now. Now we can get started. Log in again via SSH to the Synology NAS console and change into the folder we created where the Docker Compose file is located. So simply type sudo bash BmuS and press enter. If everything worked, the program will start running and perform a few small checks. You can answer the question with yes. Let's check on the Ugreen NAS. The backup worked. Let's also take a look at the dashboard. Since we haven't configured WebDAV and email, meaning we can't simply access it via the server, we will download it and open it. Look at that. A beautiful dashboard. Congratulations. You have completed your first backup.